much, everybody. It is probably the biggest honour in my life to be here with you today, and I'm here because of something that started for me a year ago. Back then I was just a maths geek, a Manchester United fan and a daytime TV host, a secular atheist Jew. Social media was a great way for me to connect with people. It helped me promote the things that I cared about: education, getting more girls into STEM subjects, and frequently my favourite football team. But watching the news one day, I saw something really peculiar. British Jews protesting in Parliament Square against the growing rise in anti-Semitism. At first I thought, this can't be real. Anti-Semitism isn't really a thing anymore, is it? It's just a relic from the past. If the horrors of the Holocaust had taught us anything, it was where Jew hate can lead, and as such, that terrible lesson for humanity meant it could never happen again and only exist in the nasty fringes of society. But then over the coming weeks and months, I noticed more and more evidence of unchecked, unnuanced waves of hostility towards Jews, Judaism, and Jewishness. The people who were bringing this back with outlandish Rothschild conspiracies and Holocaust revisionism were not the anti-Semites I was familiar with. They were not Nazis, not skinheads, not members of the Ku Klux Klan. They were party officials in my country, in the largest political party in Europe. They were local government politicians. They were members of parliament. They were retired school teachers and people who run charity shops and promote the sale of fair trade bananas. They're overwhelmingly left-wing. Most of them call themselves and even define themselves as anti-racist. Concerned, disturbed, and distressed, I knew I needed to speak out, but I had a huge obligation to do so responsibly and accurately. So first I needed to educate myself. I read articles, books, watched videos. I took Yad Vashem's online anti-Semitism course. I went to Auschwitz. I spoke to experts, to Jewish groups, to Labour Party and members and MPs who were attempting to combat what they saw was an increasingly worrying problem. They'd been trying, at great personal cost, to raise awareness and stem this tide. And with my platform, I knew that my voice could reach where theirs couldn't. I couldn't let them do it alone, and I couldn't be a bystander. I was attacked from the get-go. I've become used to being called everything from a white supremacist to a child abuser. And the irony of being told that I'm a liar, making up claims about Labour anti-Semitism by its very supporters who simultaneously accuse me of being a terrorist sympathising Zionist shill intent on murdering children is not lost on me. Their approach backfired. The armies of hate-filled bigots trying to silence and intimidate me only proved to strengthen my resolve and stand up and be counted against hate. Thank you. Others in this fight saw me standing up. They told me their stories, the personal impact of anti-Semitism, the pain and the fear of being targeted by trolls for abuse, people who've had their livelihoods ruined and their homes attacked. They were so grateful to have an ally's voice that it took me aback, and I knew I needed to earn that level of gratitude, and I hadn't yet done enough. Their stories inspired me. Jews, Christians, Muslims, people of all faiths and people of none. Even football team loyalties were set aside for the sake of this common cause. And here's what I concluded. In the face of hate, we have a moral duty to act. I have a voice and I'm going to use it. And I have a brain too. I'm going to use everything I have because we must speak out. If we're quiet, the conversation is by default dominated by extremists. And we have to speak with intelligence, and not in ways that compound the evil, give it new life, or amplify or lend it credibility. To engage directly with them, to enter into Twitter back and forth, I've learned, at times to my cost, simply amplifies and legitimizes their voices, and I won't give them a megaphone. Instead, I'll seek to inoculate the many against the few liars and extremists who seek to define Jews as underhand political operators working covertly against all that's good and just in the world. It's a painful inversion of the reality that I know, where Jews have stood at the forefront of civil rights, human rights, and the rights of minorities to seek safe haven and refuge from hate, often from having experienced a lack of these things ourselves in our own recent family histories. I'm supporting a bill in the UK Parliament that would make administrators of social media forums, such as Facebook groups, filled not just with hate speech, but also with fake cures of autism that harm young children, that incite violence against women, against Muslims, indeed against any group they seek to target with their bile, to make them civilly and criminally liable for the content they recklessly allow to be published there. Through a UK-based campaign called Stop Funding Fake News, I'm standing up against fake news outlets whose racist lies are shaping the knowledge, values and belief systems of their own, often large online readerships. And the campaign has had some really great successes. It's already forced one anti-Semitic news site to downsize from 22 to 7 staff. And we've seen 3 far-right sites declare themselves ad-free as their ad-funded misinformation business models have crumbled. I will speak out, I will box smart, I will align myself with the good guys, standing with those who stand up against the pernicious misuse of modernity to re-energise the oldest of hatreds. I've made a commitment to do one thing above all else. I won't cower in the face of hate. I had believed a lie, the idea that anti-Semitism was dead, the idea that angry, hateful voices no longer win large numbers of hearts and minds. But the day I saw the news of Jewish people having to once again take a stand against the world's oldest hatred set me on a path and changed me to who I am today. I'm still an atheist, secular Jew. I'm still a maths geek who presents a TV show. I'm still a devoted Manchester United fan, even if we do keep losing. But now I'm one who actively fights hate, and I will continue to fight it from this day till my last. And thank you, Algemeiner, for your support.